The most terrifying stories, they aren't always the ones set in some creepy old castle or a long-forgotten crypt. Sometimes, the horror that really gets under your skin is the kind that's found in the places we feel safest, our own homes, our neighborhoods, even within our families. So today, we're going to explore how horror can hide in plain sight, twisting what we know into something truly frightening.
So, what is it about that? What makes the familiar so, frightening? Why is it that a child's whisper in a dark backyard can send a colder chill down your spine than some monster in a faraway land? Let's dive into two very different but very powerful horror stories that might just hold the answer.
All right, so our first story kicks off right where a lot of our lives play out, in a quiet family home, late at night. It starts with a moment that seems completely ordinary, but it spirals into something else entirely, real fast.
So, picture this. It's the dead of night. A guy's asleep, his wife is right there beside him. Everything is exactly how it should be. The house is quiet, the world outside is dark. It's basically the picture of domestic peace, right?
But then, a weird noise from the yard breaks the silence. It's just enough to pull him out of his sleep. He looks over, his wife is still out cold. So he slips out of bed, super quiet, and heads outside to see what's going on. And what he finds?
Well, it's a mix of relief and honestly being pretty ticked off. It's his 5-year-old daughter, Emily, just playing by herself in the yard. He's furious, of course. He yells at her, "Emily, what are you doing out here? Go back to bed." It feels like a totally standard parenting moment, or at least it seems that way. But his daughter, she just looks up at him, not scared or defiant, just completely innocent, and says, "But Daddy, my big sister told me to come out and play." And the dad, he's just confused. He figures, okay, it's an imaginary friend, one he's never heard about before. So he does what any parent would do. He tries to bring things back to reality, He says firmly, "What sister? You don't have a sister." He's just trying to shut down this late-night game. But the reality he's about to slam into is way, way darker than he could ever imagine. And then, bang, Emily just calmly explains that this sister is real. She says she was her mom's baby from back in college, and that her mom threw her in a river. The horror here isn't some jump scare, no. It's the chilling, matter-of-fact way this little girl unearths a horrible family secret. It's a trauma buried so deep that it's seemingly come back as a ghost, speaking through the one person who should have no idea, his innocent little girl. That idea of a terrifying secret hiding behind an innocent face, it's not just for ghost stories. Let's switch gears to a real-world monster who hid his true nature behind a mask of, cheerful entertainment. Okay, so on one hand, you've got Pogo the Clown. This was a guy parents in the 70s would literally invite into their homes for birthday parties. He made balloon animals, told jokes. He was a symbol of childhood fun. And then, on the other hand, there's the reality. The man behind the makeup, John Wayne Gacy, a serial killer. While Pogo was making kids laugh, Gacy was making boys disappear, hiding an absolute nightmare of a secret in the crawl space of his own home.
And that right there is the whole terrifying point. He wasn't really a clown, was he? The clown was a costume. It was a performance designed to get trust, to get inside the very places, homes, parties, communities that are supposed to be safe. The performance was a lie that hid an unthinkable truth.
So, we've got a ghost story about a family secret and a true story about a killer clown. Totally different, right? Well, not exactly. They're both connected by this incredibly powerful and terrifying theme, the betrayal of everything we think is innocent and pure. There's actually a name for this kind of thing. It's called domestic horror. And it works because it doesn't need monsters from outer space or anything like that, because the monsters are already inside the house. It takes our safest places, our backyards, our birthday parties, and our most trusted relationships, and just twists them into sources of pure terror. Let's break this down a bit more. In the first story, the vessel for the horror is a little kid, right? The ultimate symbol of innocence. In the second, it's a clown, someone who performs innocence. The setting is the backyard versus the party, both basically part of the home. And the evil itself? One's maybe supernatural, a ghost born from trauma, while the other is chillingly, horribly human. But the core fear is exactly the same, the horror that comes from inside our own walls, whether it's a secret that was buried a long time ago or a monster we actually invited in ourselves. So why do these stories hit us so hard?
Why do they get under our skin and just stay there long after we've heard them? It's because they attack our most basic ideas about how the world is supposed to work.
See, when you boil it all down, the real gut punch isn't the ghost itself or even the killer. It's the location of that evil. These stories take the very things we're taught to trust and turn them into weapons. A child's word suddenly becomes a pipeline for a horrifying truth. A mother's past isn't just history, it's a literal haunting. A party clown isn't entertainment, he's a predator. The horror is in the betrayal.
And that's what makes this kind of horror so effective. It leaves you with this really unsettling thought, a question that just kind of hangs in the air in those quiet moments. It makes you look at your own familiar spaces and wonder what secrets, what truths, what potential horrors might just be lying dormant, hiding in plain sight, in the places and the people you trust the most.